Welcome, football fans, NFL fans. It's Saturday, end of the week, and we have a new edition of Jackson Pigskins for you. I'm your host, Tom Pollen, along with my co-host, Wanda Weidman.
Hey, everyone.
Well, we weren't able to be on last week, but we are back this week with a full show. 9 teams heading into week 3, trying to avoid an 0-3 start. I know most of you are saying, what's the big deal, 0-3? But this is the NFL. It's only a 17-game season. So 0-3 does make a difference. And going back to, we'll discuss why falling to 0-3 is practically the kiss of death in the NFL, at least for your playoff hopes. So
Yep,
9 of those teams go into the weekend looking to avoid that record, looking to keep themselves relevant. Also, we're going to have Nostradamus predicts. Nostradamus will be here for your week 3 action as well as player props. And through 2 weeks, Nostradamus is 6-0 straight up, 4-2 against the spread. So been having a really good season so far. Before we get started, want to give a shout out to the sponsor of Atlanta Sports Unlimited and this show, Prize Picks. Prize Picks will match up to $100 of your first deposit. Use the promo code ASU to support the channel and this show. And as a week 3 bonus for the 3rd straight week, Prize Picks is giving fans Caleb Williams 1 passing yard. All he's got to do is complete 1 pass plus 0.5 passing yards, and they're giving it to you as the first leg of your parlay. So remember, use the promo code ASU. Let them know where you've heard of them. And as I said, they'll match up to $100 of your first deposit. So you get some extra money going into your first Prize Picks. So heading into the topic this week, it's tough enough opening the season 0-2 and still end the season playing in January. From 1990 to 2023, 279 teams have begun a season 0-2. Just 32 have made the playoffs. But it's possible. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. However, if you go 0-3 through the first 3 weeks since 1990, 162 teams have started this season 0-3. Only 4 made the postseason. So you go 0-3, it's the kiss of death when it comes to your season. And it's early to be able to have to say it, but bye-bye.
Yeah. We've got several teams that can't go 0-3.
Right. Well, it's amazing how many of the teams that were predicted to be postseason, to be players in the postseason, to contend once it got to the playoffs, there are 4 of those teams that are facing that 0-3 hole.
Yeah.
And we'll go into it, let you know who they are and what the possibilities are for them as we head throughout the season.
Right.
But first, I want to talk a little bit about last week's Sunday night game, or this week's Sunday night game, between 2 teams that came within seconds of being 0-3, which is the Kansas City Chiefs and Atlanta Falcons. Because the Chiefs went a Blake Lively toe on the kickoff classic and needed a last-second field goal from Harrison Butker. What's his last name? Huh?
Butker.
Okay.
Yeah.
For some reason, I kind of blanked on that name for a second. I don't know. Sometimes I want to blank on that name. But they could have been 0-2 heading into the Sunday night game. Very close to it. The Falcons lost the game they were supposed to win to the Steelers in week 1. Won the game everybody expected them to lose in week 2. And won it in dramatic fashion.
That was beautiful. I have to say it. That was beautiful.
It really was.
Yeah.
I love how Drake London made sure he got his feet in bounds. He was tiptoeing after catching that ball. So, two teams that are still alive for the playoffs now. Chiefs 2-0, Falcons 1-1. Falcons trying to avoid going 1-2 on the season, but the Chiefs are not invincible right now.
Right.
And I think if they had gone down 0-2, they would be in danger of the Falcons. I mean, the Falcons have some advantages over the Chiefs heading into this Sunday night game. For first thing, what's the over-under on Taylor Swift appearances on camera this week? Any idea?
I have no idea.
Taylor Swift is coming to Atlanta.
Yeah.
You don't sound too enthused, Wanda.
I'm all about football, and I have no issues with Taylor Swift. If she wants to date Travis Kelce, that's their thing. I don't care. I think it's absolutely ridiculous, though, that the NFL constantly has to pan over to Taylor Swift. There are numerous stars that go to different games that I don't see. Like, for instance, Ashton Kutcher, is a huge Chicago Bears fan. How many times do you see, the camera pan to Ashton and his wife? It just didn't, Mina. It doesn't make any sense that it's constantly that way. But they're feeding the frenzy. They know, hey, people are going to watch. We want all that money that comes in with more people watching. Right. So let's just keep panning. Get that quick pan for Taylor.
Her large contingent of fans tune in looking for it.
Yeah, I just
money for the NFL.
Yeah, I just want to watch the game. That's all I
So
care
do
about.
I. See, my problem is quit making it about Taylor Swift watching the game and make it about the game.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but you can run on the Chiefs. So that's one advantage. And the Falcons defense is just playing lights out for the first 2 weeks. So
I think the Chiefs have allowed this year 259 rushing yards, but only one touchdown. And then with the Falcons have allowed 323 yards, but only one touchdown.
Yeah.
So they're pretty even in that sense on rushing yards against each other, what they've allowed via defense. But I think it's with the decimation of their running backs now with the Chiefs, it's by committee at this point, and they're trying to see what they can do. And the Falcons, have Bijan, though Algiers, I think, is out.
I believe he is.
Yeah, I think he's out. So they'll go to the next man up as the backup there. But this opens it for the Falcons using the multiple facets that Bijan can do with the rushing and passing game. So they can use him as a dual threat there. And then I think they'll give. I'm hoping that the Falcons will give the Chiefs a run for their money there, and it's not going to be an easy win.
I think they will. I don't know if the Falcons can win. Chiefs are favored by 3.
Yeah.
And I think the game is going to settle in around there. It's tough. The Falcons' defensive passer rating, actually the Chiefs' defensive passer rating They're giving up a 96.8 passer rating through the first two games of the season.
Right.
And I mean, some of these stats are skewed because of the way the Falcons played game one.
Right.
Cousins was rusty, which I lay the blame completely on Raheem Morris for that, because Morris turtled during the preseason.
Yeah.
But, you know, two teams that came close to being 0-3 came close to needing this game. But, the season will continue. Even if one of them loses, the season will continue for both.
Yeah, and you can see how Cousins, after playing the first game and how rough it was trying to acclimate after not playing for a year. And then the second game, being able to now get the groove in. And then you could see in the second half, he was starting to really connect and get it going to where it was Kirko and his magnificent in that 2-minute drill. And then going for it. So that was textbook the way that it was done. And I think that now gives the momentum that the Falcons were looking for. And so if they can keep doing that, I think that'll be key. And I'd love to see Kyle Pitts more involved as well this time. So
the Chiefs are vulnerable against the tight end.
Yeah.
So Kyle Pitts, I mean, he should have a big game this week.
Yeah.
That's another thing. You might want to look up Kyle Pitts on your Prize Picks player props, because, the Chiefs are vulnerable against the tight end. And it'll be nice to see if Kyle Pitts can get some action, can get some of those seams. Man, I've been wanting to see the Falcons ever since Kyle Pitts has been drafted, see them start running Pitts down the seams.
Yeah.
Where you got him between the safeties and the linebackers, and just watch him destroy secondaries that way.
And it can be done with Kirk Cousins. It can be done.
Yeah.
So I think if they can utilize him that way, it's going to be a surprise. So I'm hoping that that's what happens.
Can be done with Kirk Cousins. Cannot be done with Michael Penix.
No.
Last week, Falcons do not win that game if Michael Penix starts. I'm sick of hearing Falcons fans talking about Michael Penix. All right, you want to make the playoffs this year? Kirk Cousins the man.
Right.
You're not worried about making the playoffs? No. Let Michael Penix play.
Yep.
But I guarantee you the defense will be pissed off if that happens.
Yeah.
They know the only chance that team has of making the playoffs, especially the way the Saints and the Buccaneers have started out the season. The only chance the Falcons have to make the playoffs is if Kirk Cousins takes the team there. Michael Penix cannot take that team there, and I don't care what anybody says. So, Brian Friedman, great to see you today, Brian. Likely and Gesicki ate them up. Yeah, they did, which is why I'm saying let's see what Pitts can do this week. So, moving on, I don't think many fans are worried about the playoff lives of the Giants, Panthers, Titans, and Broncos.
Yeah.
But if you are, the Giants will be at the Browns, and the Browns are just awful. Deshaun Watson has never come back from, he's never made that comeback from all that time off when he was
hurt and suspended. Yeah.
Yes, hurt and suspended. Right. Thanks. And the Giants didn't play bad. Actually, they should have beaten the Commanders last week, except Graham Gano was injured on the opening kickoff, and they didn't have a kicker.
Yeah.
So, Brian also comes up with another one. Yeah, I was going to mention that during the show, Brian. Rookie quarterbacks have thrown a combined 0 TD passes this season so far. None of them have put the ball in the end zone. Of course, J.J. McCarthy can't. He's out.
Right.
Bo Nix has not looked good as the Broncos quarterback. Caleb Williams has been rough as the Bears quarterback. Jaden Daniels is moving the ball, but not getting it into the end zone. 7 field goals last week to beat the Giants. So
I think it changes this weekend. I think it changes this weekend. Yeah, I think one of these rookies is going to get a touchdown.
Yeah, boy, it'd be nice to see. So, and that just shows you how difficult it is to step into the starting job in the NFL as a rookie and make your presence felt and to be able to do the things that you expect out of a quarterback. It takes time for them to get that feel and get used to the speed and how things happen in the NFL. Caleb Williams has been a little slow on some of his deliveries. So it'd be nice to see him kind of get his footwork a little bit better, get himself lined up to throw the ball on the break instead of, being a little bit late with it. So, but, these are the things that rookie quarterbacks have to learn. Brian also says, I hope it's Daniels. He's my fantasy quarterback.
Good luck there.
Yeah, good luck.
Good luck.
But you got the Giants at the Browns, the Panthers and Andy Dalton. Talk about your young quarterbacks. Bryce Young, Monday, it was announced Dave Canales is benching him. So Andy Dalton will be playing for the Panthers at quarterback against the Raiders. And the Raiders are just coming off that big win.
Yeah, watch if Andy Dalton starts connecting. Watch how that team turns around and they start playing their butts off because now they see, okay, we've got a vet in here. It's going to win and so on. And hopefully Young is going to study from Dalton. He's going to look and see what he can take out of that and really put it to practice to help him make the right decisions. Because I think that's been the Achilles heel for Young. He's just made horrible decisions when he's had Thielen. Oh my gosh, Thielen was open so many times.
I know.
And Bryce just could not see him. So is it his height that he cannot see over his players? I don't know what it is, or, obviously there's a lot of people that say he's a bust. He was never given the opportunity to really work at what he could do. He was great in Alabama, but here in the NFL, he is struggling like nobody's business. So,
Frank Reich did not do him any favors last year. Got fired midseason.
Yeah.
And Dave Canales was supposed to be the guy that, the quarterback whisperer, the guy that moved Bryce Young up to the next level, but he didn't succeed, but only 2 games and he's out of it. Now,
and
I don't know if Bryce Young's career at Carolina's finished.
Yeah.
But he still has a career in the NFL.
Yeah. And I think that there, it's kind of that same story of having to have a change of pace. So, for instance, Justin Fields, who's now in Pittsburgh, he's now actually throwing much better than he did, even though he did throw, quite a few times there in Chicago. But he's got a stronger offense that can help him a little bit better. So I'm not sure how well Arthur Smith is helping Fields. We'll kind of have to see how that goes if he continues. But with Bryce, he's really hasn't had anybody to really help him and teach him the way that he needs to be. So he was kind of set up to fail there in Carolina. And I don't, we'll see what happens with Dalton. And if Dalton, if he picks up that offense, knows what he's doing, and he starts winning games, then the spotlight goes back to Bryce Young and showing his inability to be able to grasp what he's learning, or something is going on in communication there. And that's why Canales just could not continue with him, because maybe he's seeing something that he was telling Bryce to do and Bryce wasn't doing it.
That could be. Yeah. That could very well be. I think Bryce Young, for him to continue his NFL career, it's going to be in another location. I think he's done in Carolina.
Yeah, I agree.
But Todd mentions, Wanda, come on. The owner was the issue. Bad coaching ruined Young's confidence. Well, the owner is the issue. We know.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There's no argument there. There's no argument there. I agree, Tom. No argument there.
So, and Brian brings up, they can't even evaluate the other 52 players with Bryce Young on the field. Just awful. Yeah, I agree. It's tough to evaluate what you have.
Right.
And realize what you still need on that team, with Bryce Young at quarterback. I fully agree with you, Brian.
Yeah, I think Bryce has the talent because of the way that he played in Alabama. He has the talent, but he needs somebody that's going to go in there and play with their strengths. And I think that has shown through the league of what coaches are not doing with rookies when they come in, is playing to their strengths to help them succeed. Certain ones are, and it works, and you see how it works. But with others, they don't know how to work with young QBs and to lead them with their strengths. And we saw that with Justin Fields, where multiple offensive coordinators and trying to change his style of how he plays. And that was a disaster, because if you see now, Fields is using the opposite foot that what he was told to train in. Now he seems to be much more comfortable in the pocket. So it could be the same thing with Bryce. It's just a matter of tweaking those techniques and helping him to where he could succeed. But he will not succeed in Carolina, in agreement with the way that the owners did not provide what he needed there, and even the coaching.
Yeah. So, it's unfortunate, but you're right. Too many coaches are set and say, we're going to fit him into our system. We're going to fit him in the way we want him to play quarterback. He's talented. He can make adjustments to his game. Well, make adjustments to your quarterback's game.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I go back to when Lamar Jackson got his first start. It was after a bye week. And Joe Flacco was being benched over the bye. And Greg Roman and John Harbaugh came out with a completely different offense to play off Lamar Jackson's strengths. Not afraid to do what was good for the player.
Right.
Instead of trying to shove that player into your system.
Right. Because they recognize
a lot of that happened with Luke Getsy, trying to shove Justin Fields into a system.
Right.
And it's a wonder, with Bryce Young, how much were they trying to shove him into their system? Instead of starting with the building blocks, this is what he does well, and then we could build upon this.
Right.
So we'll see. Again, it's not going to happen in Carolina. And I think they'll move him after the season. And we'll see what the rest of his career holds. Because he came out highly touted. I mean, this was not the Bryce Young last year in these first two games, the Bryce Young that everybody thought was coming out of Alabama. So we'll see what happens. I wish him well. I always wish everybody well. I want them to succeed at the NFL level.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not possible, but they can't make that next step. But I do wish I do wish him well.
Yeah.
Marcel comes up, says Dolphins should get him. Marcel. You're looking at Skylar Thompson for the next, at least 4 weeks.
And the coach will play to his strength. So
yes.
Yeah, he could do wonders there. Who knows?
So it'll be interesting. We'll see what Carolina would be asking for him. So, but the Raiders are coming down off that big win in Baltimore. I'm not so sure that the Panthers with Andy Dalton at quarterback don't give the Raiders a game this week. So, it's very possible. Titans are hosting the Packers, and I think the Titans have everything except the quarterback. Will Levis has lost them 2 games so far this year.
Yeah.
But I don't think the Packers are going to be running the ball as well as they did against Indianapolis last week.
No, the Titans will run. Yeah, the Titans will hold their running game, so it's going to be all passing. And if Malik Willis is passing, they'll probably they have one game to look at,
right?
And that's what they're studying is the one game that they can look at and they can detect what weaknesses he may have, and they may squeak out a win here.
Yeah, I don't think. Well, the thing is, Matt LaFleur was a genius last week. Kept Willis from having to do anything difficult during the game. As I said, just gave the ball to Josh Jacobs and let his running game pound the hell out of Indianapolis. Malik Willis is going to have a tougher time this week.
Yeah.
Because he's going to have to actually make some plays.
Yeah.
Because the Titans are not going to let him steamroll them. So I'm interested to see how that comes out.
Yeah.
I think the Titans might win this week. Broncos at the Buccaneers. I'm sorry, Denver. Your season is over. You're going 0-3 for sure. No postseason for Sean Payton again because the Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield's playing tough. I'm telling you, the Saints and the Buccaneers are going to be tough outs now for the Falcons this season.
Yeah.
Not as easy opponents as maybe we thought they might be at the beginning of the season. It's going to be rough. So let's get to the 2 preseason playoff favorites in the AFC and in the AFC North that will be fighting for their lives on Sunday. Ravens will be in Dallas. One more thing.
Yeah.
Brian loves seeing Sean Payton.
Don't we all?
Yeah, don't we all? I'm with you there, Brian. But the Ravens at Dallas to face the Cowboys. Sunday late afternoon game. And then the Ravens will have to host the Buffalo Bills in week 4. So Baltimore was the team the Chiefs beat by a toe in week 1. Ravens upset by the Raiders at home. You let the Raiders beat you at home. You were up by 10 in that game, and you let the Raiders beat you at home. To set up their sink and swim game this week, allow Gardner Minshew to complete 30 of 38 passes for 276 yards. Devontae Adams, 12 targets, 9 catches for 110 yards and a touchdown. So, just an incredible game by the Raiders last week. But you look at it, they have to go to Dallas. Dallas, had a rough week in week 2.
Wow. Did they ever? Yikes.
So is this a game that the Ravens can pick up and keep themselves in that, keep themselves in that playoff picture? Or do they go 0-3 and try to become that rare team that try and be that rare team that can make the playoffs after being 0-3? So, yeah,
well,
Dallas.
They could do it by the rushing game. So Dallas has their defense has allowed 283 rushing yards and 5 rushing touchdowns. So it's possible that they can run the ball. The Ravens run the ball down their throats and keep running it to give Lamar opportunities, and then see if they could get points on the board that way. I don't know what has happened to the Ravens defense, but
it's a new defensive coordinator. Mike McDonald is now coaching Seattle.
There you go. So it's you can see it and you can tell, and it really shows, especially having 5 rushing touchdowns. Man, that's a lot. That is a lot. And I think the Ravens, they have allowed 3 rushing touchdowns, but only 99 rushing yards. So it's not like Dallas is going to be able to run the ball as much, but if they're going to pass through the air, then the Ravens are going to have to cover CeeDee Lamb really well to avoid that catastrophe that could happen.
Which, they haven't been great against the pass this year, but we'll see. I mean, it's early. Ravens having O-line problems. I will look that up right now, Brian, because I did not see that prior to the game or prior to the show. But are the Ravens having offensive line problems? And boy, yep. Well, Ronnie Stanley, but he is expected to play, which is always important as far as left tackle.
Right.
So I don't see any outs for this game yet. Everybody is a little nicked up, banged up at this point. Whoops.
You see, your face has disappeared there, Tom.
Wow. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, just no face.
Oh, okay. Well,
there you go.
There I am. Wow. I know a lot of you were saying, boy, I can't do the rest of the show like that. But but let me, as I said, I didn't see any big problems on their Pro Football Reference injury report. Let's see. But I'm going to look it up right now so we can be as accurate as possible going into this game. No, Ravens are about as healthy as they can be heading into this week. So they are not going to have injury problems heading into week 3. Yeah, that might be it, Brian. Their O-line just isn't good. But yeah, they're healthy. So, I mean, this is a sink or swim game. As I said, 4 teams going into week 3 or going into week 4 with an 0-3 record, 162 teams since 1990. Only 4 made the postseason. That's why this game is so important for these 9 teams that are 0-2 right now. So yeah, it's going to be rough. We're going to need I think you're right. We're going to need to see the Ravens run the ball more effectively, and it's Can Derrick Henry started looking better as the game went on last week. Can they get Derrick Henry, running the way Derrick Henry can rush? Can they get him really moving in this game against the Cowboys? I think they can. I think that's going to be the key to the game. I agree with you.
Yeah.
So, going to be an interesting game to watch. That's going to be a late Sunday game. I think that's one of the 4:05 games. So, going to be fun to see. Jacksonville Jaguars. They have to play the first Monday night game this week against the Buffalo Bills. Yeah. Brian, desperation games. More desperate for the Ravens. The Cowboys have a win, and nobody's really looks like they're going to be breaking out of the pack in the NFC East. So I think the Cowboys aren't in as big as trouble if they lose this game.
But I think with the Cowboys, though, they after such a horrific loss last week, they have to show that. I mean, they have to recover really well this week, and if they don't, and they lose in that same fashion, all hell's going to break loose in Dallas.
Well, they got caught underneath that New Orleans Saints freight train.
Oh, that was ridiculous.
The Saints are just blasting past people this season. So, the Cowboys, I mean, it's kind of like the Rams against the Arizona Cardinals. That game was over before the Rams woke up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, the Saints, I don't know how long it's going to last for the Saints. But they're off to an incredible start, and they look like they have everything pointing in the right direction right now. So, not a team you want to run up against right now. Later on, if maybe things slow down, Derek Carr reverts back to his normal quarterbacking skills, and things kind of fall down back to earth for the New Orleans. But you don't want to face them right now, just not. Going on to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Again, the first Monday night game of this week 3 schedule. There's going to be 2 Monday night games. Jaguars have to beat the Buffalo Bills. They are, I think they're on the road. They're in Buffalo. Josh Allen, first 2 weeks of the season, 2 rushing touchdowns, 3 passing TDs, and 0 interceptions. And you know what Josh Allen is like when he's not giving the ball away. That's a tough team, and he's a tough quarterback.
Yeah.
But the main thing, even without Diggs and Gabe Davis, Allen spread the ball to 10 different receivers in week 1, 9 receivers last week.
Right. So
everybody is getting a chance to catch the ball in Buffalo, which is rough because you don't know where Allen's going to go with the ball. You got to cover everybody. Yeah. Because he's willing to throw the ball to anybody. He doesn't have a favorite receiver right now.
Right. Yeah.
I think that actually opened up the Bills' offense.
It did. And I think that actually helps him even better because he's spreading the ball. And now the defensive has to figure out who they're going to cover. I mean, for the Jaguars, they've allowed 524 passing yards, their defense. So this could be a great game for Allen to spread the ball and do his thing to those different receivers. And the Jaguars are going to have to figure out who they're going to cover most. And if the Bills stick with that plan against the Jaguars, they could win this game.
Yeah, exactly. I think this game is very winnable. And you got to look at what the Jaguars have coming up. They got 2 London games coming up in October, and they're not coming back to a bye week after they get done with that. After they get done with that London game, which most teams usually do. So, how much jet lag are you looking at?
Right.
When the Jaguars, come back from London? It's a rough schedule. They have to go to London and play, then come back and, have to go right back into your regular schedule here in the U.S. So, be interesting to see. But just one thing, Brian saying Dalton Kincaid hasn't been getting the ball. Well, the thing is, Dalton Kincaid has 6 targets and 5 receptions this season. Khalil Shakir has gotten 8 targets, 8 receptions. Guess what? 6 targets is second most on the Bills right now. So that's what I mean about Josh Allen spreading the ball around. Kincaid is an important target to him, but he's not the only target. So he's getting the ball as 10 receivers week 1. How often do you hear of 10 receivers getting targeted by anybody in week 1? Nobody goes that deep. But the Bills did it, and it's amazing to watch. So, but they cannot afford to fall farther back behind the Texans, and they already are.
Yeah.
Because the Texans are taking over the AFC South. Brian, of course. Everybody canceling each other out fantasy-wise. Yes, that's true, Brian. Yeah. Fantasy-wise, it's not that great for your fantasy players. Mm-mm. But it's doing a damn good job for the Buffalo Bills when it comes to winning games. So what can you say? That's what counts. Yeah. I know fantasy is fun, but Josh Allen wants to go out there and win the game, and the last thing on his mind is how many receptions Dalton Kincaid has. So, and then last, the battered Rams are going to host division rival San Francisco 49ers. So, Puka Nacua is on IR. So, the Rams have 9 players. Yeah. Brian, that's exactly the point. Real football, fake football, 2 different things. And by the way, a lot of teams are making things happen and kind of putting teams away with their running games this year. Mm-hmm. Running game is really starting to become more prominent in the NFL. A lot of your top quarterbacks are not passing for big yards. There's only been a handful of 300-yard games this year. So it is not – this year is turning out to be not one of those years. Passing yards are down.
Yeah.
And I think teams are relying more on the rush to generate offense, generate control of the ball, and, put teams away. So a small change in the NFL this year. And it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out throughout the season. But there is a definite trend towards the running game throughout the NFL. Rams with 9 players on IR, wide receiver Puka Nacua, defensive back Darius Williams, tackles Josh Notaboom, guard Steve Avila, guard Jonah Jackson. And Stafford's not going to have a security blanket this week, Cooper Kupp. So,
yeah.
And that's a major security blanket when it comes to passing games. So, as I said, last week, the Cardinals got out to a 21-0 lead before the Rams even realized that they were playing. I think the Rams' minds were still in the locker room when that game started. And Marvin Harrison Jr., man, did he make a couple of – he opened up the fourth quarter. He was red hot. Made a couple of great catches from balls from Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray was just on fire in that game.
He was. Yeah.
Is the kid this good? I mean, really, is the kid that good? That's a good one, Brian. I actually hadn't thought about. Rams have issues, plus you're only allowed 8 designated to return.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. You're right. So, yeah, that's a lot of issues right now. And now the 49ers aren't going to have Deebo Samuel this week, and George Kittle is doubtful. I think he's already been declared out.
Yeah.
So 2 big weapons for Brock Purdy. And we've seen how Brock Purdy plays when he doesn't have his security blankets. Now, he hasn't had McCaffrey this season, but Jordan Mason has done a very good job running the ball.
Right.
But you look at the trends, Niners have won 9 of their last 10 games against the Rams and 7 of their last 8 games in Los Angeles. What do you see for this game?
I see the 49ers. They're just squeaking it. And depending on how Purdy plays, he'll have to rely on Brandon Ayuk. The run game, I think with Mason, I think they can still do it with the Rams. I think they can open it up a little bit more for Purdy. But I think with the Rams, I'm even concerned about Stafford because Stafford did not look well last week. And if you've got an O-line this decimated, he's going to take hits after hit after hit from that relentless 49ers defense. So
right.
I think it's going to be ugly for the Rams, and the 49ers win this game.
Yeah, because Bosa's going to play this week.
Yeah.
I know there was a lot of questions about whether he was going to make it, but Bosa will be playing.
Yeah.
And
you got Bosa and Warner. I think it's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be
Ayuk has not really been a weapon so far this season.
But I think with Deebo out, I think that's going to open it up for him.
They're going to have to. Yeah, they got to play.
Yeah.
But the problem is McCaffrey and Deebo are the 2 most versatile players in that San Francisco offense. Because Deebo can run and catch.
Right.
McCaffrey can run, and he's also a factor in the receiving game. So you're losing that versatility that you used to have. As I said, Jordan Mason's been, running very well, but he's not the receiver that McCaffrey is. So,
yeah.
So they're losing the versatility that they need. And Brian, I agree with you. Lots of Kyren Williams. Got to have a lot of Kyren Williams because, they don't have much else right now.
Yeah. Exactly.
And they can't get off to a big, they can't get off to, in a big hole like they did last week. They have got to put the first points up on the board if they can, or stay within a score without letting the 49ers just run away with the game.
Yeah.
I had no idea Arizona could do that. Arizona was favored by 1 point. I took the Rams, and I gave up on that game about 5 minutes in. Because Kyler Murray was all over it. And James Conner, his running, and the guy was just pounding his way through the Rams' defensive line.
He just seems to get better He gets better every year. James Conner just really he's a good running back. He really is.
So, yeah, the Rams got completely clobbered. And again, you're in the NFC West. You're in the division with a lot of tough competition. So if you fall to 0-3, I don't think it's going to be one of those 4 out of 162 teams. I don't think they're going to be one of those teams that are going to make the playoffs anyway. They go 0-3. This is it for the Rams. This is their, sink or swim right now, week 3.
Yeah.
And Sean McVay, that's not a normal position you see Sean McVay in. So, I got to take Brian's comment off the screen. But so that's kind of going around the league and looking at teams that are kind of on the edge of losing their season. Team fall to 0-3. You've got a sliver's chance of making the playoffs. No matter who you are, no matter what division you play in, you are up against the wall. You are basically crushed against that wall. So, yeah, Rams' issues are all injuries, hard to overcome.
Yeah.
Now we're going to get into Nostradamus Predicts, my favorite part of the show. I don't know. Do you do picks, Wanda?
I just play fantasy football.
Oh, you just play fantasy?
So, yeah, I just play fantasy. I haven't done picks, but it's pretty interesting just hearing you go through it. So,
all right. Well, going into Prize Picks, we didn't have Prize Picks last week because we weren't on the air. But 2 weeks ago for week 1, I went 3 for 3. If you followed my Prize Pick picks, my Prize Pick selections, you won. You came out with money. So I'm going to try to do the same thing for you this week. It's going to be rough, but I am going. First, you got to start with that Caleb Williams pick, 0.5 passing yards.
I mean, that's an easy
They're
pick,
not letting
guys.
you go below. You have to go above.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're giving you that first pick. And I say round it out with Chris Olave, the Saints, over 64.5 receiving yards. I don't know what I'm looking at. Chris Olave plus 64.5 receiving yards. I think he has a big week this week. He did not last week, considering how much the Saints dominated the Cowboys last week. Olave was not a big part of the offense, but I think he comes back big this week. He's too good of a receiver. Derek Carr needs him. And so I think against the Eagles, I think Olave, they're going to have Olave eat quite a bit in that game. And I see him getting over the 64.5 receiving yards. Najee Harris, 14.5 rushing attempts. I say go over 14.5 rushing attempts. He surpassed that number in both weeks 1 and 2. He has been the workhorse of Steelers offense as far as the running game. So I say take Najee Harris plus the 14.5 rushing attempts because I think he will get that again this week. And as far as my picks against the spread this week, I am 4-2. Now, I wasn't able to give the best bets on air last week, but I did on my Twitter feed. But I am 4-2 with my best bets. I missed on the Bears last week. I thought the Texans were being given 6.5 against the Bears. Well, the Bears lost by 6. So they stayed within that spread and cost me a perfect week. Damn. But, hey. But 4-2 with my best bets. I am 6-0 straight up with my best bets so far in 2024. And what I have this week, the Bengals have been 7.5 point favorites twice this season. in week 1 against the Patriots and this week against the Commanders. I say take that Bengals -7.5. The amazing thing about this season is a lot of teams, a lot of larger spreads have not been getting covered this week, in the first 2 weeks. But as I say, this week against the Commanders, Burrow's history in September is very interesting. He is, let's see, I got it. Through weeks 1 and 2, since Burrow's been in the league, he is 1-8. In weeks 3 and 4, he has 5 wins, no losses, and 1 tie. So Burrow is a notorious slow starter. And I think the Bengals will win that game -7.5. Washington, Daniels has been playing. He's been slugging away as a rookie quarterback, but, I got to see him be able to put the ball in the end zone. All right. You cannot live an NFL season via the place kicker. Doesn't work. They won last week, but that's because it was the Giants, and the Giants did not have their place kicker the entire game. So they weren't able to go for any field goals. Take the Bengals -7.5. So the Bengals will keep their season alive. Bills are favored by 5.5 points, and they are hosting the Jaguars. Again, on Monday night. The Bills, I do not see the Jacksonville Jaguars keeping this game close against Buffalo. Buffalo's been playing very well. Josh Allen has kind of renewed himself in the system. And I think the Jaguars drop to 0-3 and see their playoff hopes practically eliminated. And as my third game, I'm going to take one of the Sunday early games. I'm going to take Tennessee Titans, favored by 2.5 over the Green Bay Packers. I think the Titans actually win this game because Malik Willis is not going to be able to hand the ball off to Josh Jacobs and continue to say he's had a great game. Malik Willis will have to actually make plays against the Titans. And I do not have any confidence in Malik Williams having to make plays. So I think not having Jordan Love catches up with the Packers this week. Take the Titans -2.5. So those are my 3 picks. And as I say, come back next week and we will see how well I did. But I feel very confident in those.
I'm going to throw in.
Yeah.
I believe that this will be the weekend, like I said before, of one of these rookies throwing the touchdown. And I believe it will be Caleb Williams against the Indianapolis Colts.
All right. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know it's a revenge game for Malik Willis. Also a revenge game for the Titans because he did nothing for the Titans when he was in Tennessee. Yeah. So I think the Titans are going to have extra impetus to shut him down and keep him under wraps. Again, Bengals -7.5, Bills -5.5, and the Titans -2.5. No dogs this week, betting all favorites. And we are out of time, Wanda. Amazing.
Here we go.
We are out of time. It's been fun being back with you this week and talking some week 3 football and previewing the teams that have their season on the line this week, this early in the season. We're not out of September yet.
No. That makes it more fun.
Yep. So, again, great to have all of you with us. For those of you who are with us live, those of you who join us on the replay during the week, hope you enjoyed what we had to say today. Brian did. I said, see you next week. Enjoy. And we will see you all. Have a great week, everyone.
Bye, everyone.